we've both been plugging away at the new content. I mean, does it have a name outside of director's cut?
Yeah, I don't know. I think at one point there was that rumor that it was going to be called Ghost of what? Not Ghost of Iki, it was Ghost of Ishimura or Ikimura, whatever. And then the island ended up being called Iki Island. So I don't know. It's just the Iki Island content.
Yeah,
I like Iki Island.
like
yeah.
what would I call this review? It's a Ghost of Tsushima director's cut review.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, the expansion's only part of the director's cut.
Exactly, yeah. Point is that Ghost of Tsushima has a little DLC / expansion, which, if you do not know, takes place on an island called Iki Island. And yeah, it just fits into wherever you are in the overall Ghost of Tsushima narrative. You can play it after you finish the game, or I think only once you've reached the second act of the base game.
Oh, that's weird. I thought it was specifically end of game, because I guess then it adapts, because I had characters, I had Jin talking about how he's driven all the Mongols out of Tsushima, which reflected me ending the campaign.
Yeah, I do wonder what happens if you just arrive here straight after Act 2, if that dialogue changes to like, oh, I'm in the process of driving the Mongols off Tsushima. But yeah, it serves just
be
as
a pretty hard expansion.
Yeah,
like from Act 2, because I find the enemies here far more complex than anything in the main game.
So I think if you come into Ghost of Tsushima fresh, I'd suggest finishing the base game before coming to the DLC, for that very reason, that it's obviously designed to be, like post-game content in terms of the armors you get, the enemies you fight, that sort of thing. It's a little bit more challenging, and there's more stuff to unlock. But for all intents and purposes, it's just more Ghost of Tsushima. But I think what really stands out in terms of narrative is that it colors in more of Jin's backstory. Who is Jin? What is his origin? What is that relationship with his father, which is touched on in the main game, but it doesn't really get delved into.
Yeah, it's very brief in the main game. You just kind of know that Jin watched his father die and feels regrets over not being able to save him.
That's basically the extent of it. But you learn on Iki Island that this is where Jin's dad died, and you sort of come to realize why he died, or what is the context of this, his guilt, that sort of thing. And on that front, I really like this expansion. You actually said it almost feels story critical.
Yeah, I think so.
And I agree, because it's just, if you want to know more about Jin, it's important to know that relationship with his father, and why does he have this guilt.
I think it gives Jin a lot more depth than the original campaign does, because like the original campaign is very much Jin coming to terms with like what it means to be a samurai, and the honor aspect tied to that.
Exactly.
And that's like a common pressure point with his uncle, who is very committed to the old ways and doesn't agree with Jin doing what is necessary for the people of the island. But this is more like Jin also clearly having these issues before the start of the Ghost of Tsushima story, because he is watching what his father and the samurai did to the inhabitants of Iki Island when they rose up against the shogun. And it's like, it's very brutal at times. You can see that Jin does not agree with the brutality of what the samurai did there, and part of this expansion is confronting that. Like, he goes to Iki Island and he can't tell people who he is, because he knows they'll just kill him.
Yeah.
Because of what his family did there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of that is confronting that, and it's all done through the veneer of a new antagonist who poisons you. So you have these really good looking like hallucinations that pop up at the most random times. And they're just really effective, I think. So yeah, in terms of that story, it's I think I think it's critical to Jin's character, and if Sucker Punch is going to continue with this franchise, this is almost like a bridging gap to like
Yeah.
now you understand Jin and where you can go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, just to echo what you've said. I found the first game almost seemed black and white in the sense of, the Mongols are invading, you have to drive them off, but you shouldn't adopt this, the non-samurai code, stick to your honor, that sort of thing.
How dare you stealth kill people?
It didn't really fill the gray in between in terms of story, not that I can recall anyway, whereas this is very much you have to grapple with, Jin's father was obviously, following orders, but was it right? Are the samurai, are they really honorable if they just killing innocent people? That sort of thing. So it gave you, a bit more food for thought. And obviously you can sort of understand what Jin's going through of like, was my dad really a good dude, or what was going on here? So
I just want to interject quickly. This is your gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
You died on the beach there.
I did.
And then got captured.
I did.
That is entirely different to what happened to me.
What happened to you? Did you just arrive at the...
No, I killed them.
Yeah.
I finished the quest with my horse, and then I had a quest where I invaded a Mongol camp, and then I got captured.
Ah, interesting. So
that's like a whole different chain of events.
Yeah, so for audio listeners, I've just got some gameplay happening in the background. And what happened is this is me diving to the game after like more than a year, not remembering the controls or anything, on lethal difficulty. So I straight up died in my first encounter, and I was very surprised to see that, like, a cutscene triggered. I did wonder what would happen if, I just beat those first sets of enemies, and it turns out that there's a whole separate...
You'd have a good whole hour of gameplay before even getting to this cutscene. Because I saved my horse, I did some side quests, and then I did the story mission.
Amazing.
Like, you're going to go kill this person, and then it doesn't work out that way.
That's interesting. I wonder why it wasn't a thing of, you die, just reload.
Yeah,
points.
Strange. I guess they didn't want you to, like, the first thing you do on Iki Island is die.
Death.
So, yeah, and at the end of the day, all this does is set up the hallucination part earlier.
A lot earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is... I'm glad I could introduce you to my speedrun tactic. Completely unintended. But yeah, I suppose this is a good point to jump off, is that you briefly mentioned it. The antagonist is a lady called the Eagle who poisons you, and this poison makes an appearance throughout the entire campaign, where it's interesting because it's a hallucination, but ultimately it's Jin confronting his inner turmoil. It's not really the Eagle appearing to him or anything. And I think it's a clever way to frame his ongoing struggle with family history and honor and all the samurai stuff that comes with it.
Yeah. No, it's done really well. Like straight after the sequence, you have like a portion of gameplay that seems real, but it turns out to be a complete like imaginative sequence, which is really good. Yeah, so I mean, you finished the story. You said it's not that long.
No, so I think, look, if the Iki Island itself, there's a lot to do. Like you said, you've been doing a whole lot of side stuff, and I've done a bit of side stuff myself. Like I had one side quest that took me into dark caves to confront somebody to get some cool armor, which is really nice.
Oh, cool.
But I think...
Oh, was it one of those legendary armor?
Yeah, one of the legendary armors. So the game's got a few extra sets of those, legendary armor, some side quests. But the main game itself, I'd imagine if you were to just mainline the quest, it would take you 4 to 5 hours. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want a ton of content, there is a whole island to explore. I tend to do a mix of everything, where I do one main quest, 2 main quests, maybe a side quest here if I'm nearby. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
They compare the landmass to like the size of
the first act.
The first act, and it is like it's a sizable island. And I do feel like the island has its own identity. It is gorgeous, like in a different sort of way that wasn't present on Tsushima.
Oh yeah,
Like
this is so for me. This was my first touch points with Ghost of Tsushima on PS5. I never played it.
yeah,
When a patch or whatever dropped earlier this year, I waited for an actual
the
real upgrade. So looking at this at 60 FPS with these very lush, colorful landscapes, it's really, really pretty. It's one of those things where I know what next gen looks like, and I know this doesn't really have ray tracing or anything fancy like that, but it's just a visually gorgeous title, which makes you go like, wow, games have come this far. Like I'm playing this on this huge island which just runs so smoothly.
It's a marvel to me that this ran on PS4, because
that too.
If you didn't tell me, like, if this didn't release on PS4 and just came to PS5, I'd believe you that this was a next gen game. Because it is just like how Sucker Punch got this running on a PS4 at all is a feat.
And it ran. I mean, it
ran really well.
Yeah, it wasn't like 60 FPS, but it ran.
No, it was a solid 30. Like no problems there. But I think the 60 FPS, I mean, the fact that the game looks as good as it does and then runs at a rock solid 60 is one thing.
Insane, yeah.
But the combat sings with the extra frame rate. I think it's so much more fluid and like approachable, especially in like lethal mode where reflexes are really important. But this game is genuinely stunning. It just shows to me what you can do with a more stylized approach, because yes, it is realistic, but it takes huge liberties with color and contrast, and like the fields of flowers are so saturated to give it that pop. And I think
but your eyeballs are like stunning. Wow.
It's just it feels like those the demos that they put on TVs at the stores.
Exactly.
Which is like, look at this honey does not look like this in real life, but fucking look at this.
Don't have those random demos. Just have Ghost of Tsushima playing. That's all you need.
Exactly. That's all you need. It's really beautiful, and there's like spots around the island that are just like there's that one forest where there's all those like hanging purple trees. They almost look like jacaranda trees.
Like, why am I in Pretoria? How did I get you?
Yeah, actually it's Pretoria on Iki Island. I went to the square, picked up some red squares, you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's just like fields of multicolored flowers and cherry blossoms, and it's just beautiful.
It's beautiful, a good time. Yeah, I'm glad I dived into this because it's funny. I finished Ghost of Tsushima last year and I really enjoyed it. I looked at the platinum list. I was like, I just don't really have the time for this now. It's not a hard platinum. I don't think it's more about completing, ticking everything off the map. But having, inverted commas, rolled credits on Iki Island, I've since gone back to Tsushima, and I'm proper hooked on this game again. It's just so good. Like I feel not that, I mean, I enjoyed it last year. I don't need to, so I can't say that enough. But it feels like I'm appreciating it a lot more now with, the upgraded visuals and just the level of detail and work that went into it. Even doing some of the side quests that are populated throughout the island, they're not, anything significant. I wouldn't say there's huge arcs like something in, say, The Witcher 3, but the level of writing and things you have to do for those side quests, I'm like, damn, this game, they really put a lot of work and effort into it. And only now I'm really sitting back and going like, damn, like I really appreciate this game.
It really is, for all intents and purposes. I mean, this isn't a unique take, but it is the modern Assassin's Creed, if Assassin's Creed didn't go in the direction that it did. And I appreciate it for that, because like I really wish I'm not a huge fan of the direction of Assassin's Creed currently, and I wish we had more of this style of game. But like Sucker Punch also did like many things a lot better as well. So I mean, when I first started the game last year, I didn't actually get into it that much. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really into this. And then when I gave it another shot, it's actually only at the end of the year or beginning of this year.
Yeah, I think it was only this year you got into it.
It properly hooked me. Then it was just like, yes, it is a bit of that like lizard brain thing of just, okay, I'm gonna tick all of these side quests off, I'm gonna get all of these upgrades, whatever. But
But it's
each
so
of those activities
satisfying.
is
Yeah.
satisfying. Yeah, exactly. Like,
And
and
it
some of those are new here. Like you've got different side quests where you've got to liberate like monkey and cat sanctuaries, which is really cool because you get
yes. Let's
the
talk about
Guitar Hero version of Ghost of Tsushima.
let's talk about the cat sanctuaries. Easily the best feature of the game, hands down. You get to save cats and pet them. I mean,
And you feel they're purring through the dual
through
sense.
the
It's really good.
yeah,
It's really good. I
it's
actually really like the dual sense implementation because I think it's subtle. Like you can
it's
feel the your horse's hooves as you run around.
there's a lot
It's
of
really good.
stuff that they've put in where it just makes you wish that more third parties put as much effort into the dual sense, because it really is a great controller. I mean, even one example that comes to mind when I started playing, do you remember those sort of like fireflies that buzz as you get closer to
Yes.
a record or something? You now feel that through your controller. That little
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, as you get closer to, you know, the record or the collectible or whatever. And
Yes,
it's a thing
yes.
of, I mean, I was very mindful of them in you know, when I played the game on PS4, but now I'm feeling it through the controller. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me find where this thing is hiding. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, I mean, feeling the cats purring through the controller is such a surreal feeling. It's kind of great.
Like, when did Lupin get him? I'm like, it's just my
Yeah.
controller.
And then you've got other side quests like archery challenges, which are really, I think, challenging. Like I had to change my equipment, I had to do 1 or 2 upgrades, and then I was able to get the like 8-second time limit on some of them. They're satisfying. They're cool. So yeah, and then I think my favorite part is just the horse charge, which is the only big new ability you get, and I think that's just a really good addition to like combat. Like the amount of times I've just seen an enemy patrol, and it's like, do you want to go into standoff mode? I'm like, nah.
No.
I'm just gonna fucking
I'm just
roll
gonna
through
YOLO
them with
into
my
them.
horse. Yeah,
I think
very good.
that's one thing the game does so well. It's just very good at being cinematic, and when you charge into someone with the horse, it's every time you connect, it's got this very brief slow-mo moment. You just it feels so good.
You feel that connection
Yeah.
every time. It's really well handled. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Ghost
Game's good.
Tsushima Director's Cut. If you played it on PS4, I think it's incentive enough to go back, pick it up on PS5. If
I think
you've
it's
never
worth it, yeah.
played Ghost of Tsushima, shit, you are in for a treat. It is like hands down one of the best open world games, I'd argue. I mean, like you've said earlier, it's for all intents and purposes the Assassin's Creed Japan, but done like
it is
very,
the
very
one
well.
that everyone's been asking for.
Yeah.
Like Ubisoft will never make this game now, because even if they do Japan, it's not this type
It'll
of
always be
Assassin's Creed.
compared to this.
Yeah. So
And the bar's high. The bar's real high now.
yeah, the bar is high. This game's really good.
It's good. Just before we
I'm-
end off, look at this field as I walk
Oh
out.
yeah, this is the field I was talking about. It's just
so good.
Oh my god, it's. I mean, I don't think there's a game in existence yet that has a better late title card screen than this fucking game.
Oh yeah.
Like, not an Iki Island, but the main game where you've been playing for like 2 hours at that point already, and then you escape from Khan, and the music swells, and you're just riding through the field of the what's those flowers, man? I don't know what they're called now, but like you getting on your horse, you get that late title card, and you see Jin like put his hand over his horse and feel the reeds, and you're just like, fuck.
God damn.
Fuck this game!
too good.
Holy shit! What is happening? Why am I feeling so many things right now? It's so good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, really good game. I'm very keen to see where Sucker Punch goes after this. Because I think they have a very strong foundation for a sequel. Definitely. And you know, if I look back at Assassin's Creed 1 had all of these ideas, but didn't really execute on them the first time, and it was really the second one that streamlined so many things. And I think Ghost of Tsushima definitely has the potential of having a sequel that is just like
Just
up
pushes
there as
it
like
further,
one of the best games of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, before we started this episode, I said that the blanket behind you was a Venus flytrap for a cat.
I was going to move it.
I was correct.
Sadie's like, no, just leave it. It's a cat trap. And look at that.
Yep. Look there.
Luna's baking
good,
some
Luna.
biscuits.
See, the blanket's not just going to go like really slowly, like a Venus flytrap.
Okay,
It's got her now.
Let me just play my flute so she comes to my lap.
I love that it took not even like 20 minutes for that to happen. It's very good. Now I just see ears. Like, she's so cute.
Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Would recommend. Great game.
Yeah, very good game. Obviously now if you buy it on PS5, I think that's the only version you can buy, and it's just like the same as a normal PS5 game. Yeah. And then if you've got it on PS4, I think it's $30 to upgrade to the Director's Cut on PS5. So that gives you the additional content, whatever. If you don't want Iki Island, you pay $10 just for the PS5 version, which, based on what I saw from Digital Foundry, isn't all that much. If you're just getting that, you're basically paying the $10 for the DualSense features, because the free patch basically gave the same quality. So
$10 for vibrating cat purrs would pay.
You do get much faster loading though, because now it's a PS5 native app.
Yeah.
And boy, that loading is damn fast now. Holy quick, shit. Yeah. So yeah, it's worth it. At least there's an upgrade path. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. Cool.